It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and this week's theme is called BIKERS Custom, and this is my summit guide. Let's go! Alright, before we get into it, quick shout out to Simji. Helped a lot with a lot of the cuts and the lines on this one. This is a particularly frustrating summit. All bikes is just not what we want. I mean, a couple of bike events here and there, okay, fine. All bikes, really frustrating. Anyways, there's a lot of cuts in this one. There's a lot of resets. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't really like. But shout out to all you bike lovers out there. If you're just absolutely loving this summit, I'm super happy for you. Anyways, let's get into what bikes you're gonna need for this summit. You got the Summit Bundle, which comes with 3 Indian motorcycles. You got the Chief Dark Horse, the FTR 1200S, and the Scout. In addition to that, you're gonna need another bike, the Ducati Panigale R, and you're gonna need a slalom vehicle, and I recommend the RB14 Disruption Edition with Score Breaker and Skilled and Pure as your affixes. And then you're gonna need a boat for buoy smashing, or if you use the plane method, then use a plane. But I recommend the 1414 Demon just because it's wide and it tends to get more of those buoys than the smaller boats. Anyways, you can use whichever one you like, but remember, you need Skilled as your affix and Score Breaker as your set bonus on that one as well. For all of the bikes and the races, you're going to be using Nitro Chemist with Pure and Extra Pump. It's more valuable than the bended one. Actually, I believe most of the top scorers are using Pure and Extra Pump. Anyways, the keys to this summit, like I said in the intro, are cuts and resets. And this is the part of the video where I usually give you some pro settings, but I do not have one single pro setting for any of the vehicles on this summit. I just used stock pro settings for all these motorcycles and did fine. So I think you guys can too. Otherwise, find some pro settings from the community. Let's get into these events. All right, so the first event is called Who Needs a Map? Now this one is one of those ones where you follow the clues. For this event, you just need to follow the path. I'm telling you, there's only a couple of cuts in this. It's not like super complicated. There's a couple of things that will save you a little bit of time. So let's fast forward to those important sections. All right, right here on the crane clue, you're gonna cut this corner just to make it a little bit easier. You go through the grass, makes it a little bit smoother when you get onto this bridge. And then for this cherry blossom turn, you're actually gonna cut it really, really hard to the right. The checkpoint is like right after the turn, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And instead of following the road, you're just gonna go straight across like the golf course there, get a little bit of air nos off the mound, and then continue straight onto the road. So cut to the right pretty far, go to the right of this big tree, off this mound here, nos in the air, and keep continuing straight. Keep continuing. Now on this turn with the this thing, you're gonna cut this corner as well. It's important to cut this one, but don't hit the block wall, because if you do, you'll slow down a lot. But notice I cut the corner and I'm still like ending really wide. If you don't cut the corner, you most likely are gonna end up in the grass over here. So it's smart to do that anyway. And then directly after that, this is the Kyusha Spirit cut across the grass on the left here. All right, then when you get to the dirt section, there's a part of this where the road curves to the left and then back to the right. You can just cut straight across and go up the hill, just like you see here. This is the checkpoint with the red like cherry trees or something like that. Cut right across and go up. It's gonna save you a bunch of time as well. You're really slow in the dirt anyways, so it really doesn't make sense not to take that cut. And then finally, when you're coming down the hill, you can just cut straight across to the right. You get a little bit more speed because you're going down a hill. And then when you're going this way, you just go straight through these trees. What you're looking for here is a large tree here, and then count 1, 2, and the gap is right in there. And the end is literally right outside of that little pack of trees. So there you go. Let's move on. All right, this next event is called Let the Good Times Roll. This is literally just scene 7 from the Hollywood playlist. However, because they patched it, you have to go through all the checkpoints. But we've got some cuts for you anyways. On this first checkpoint, you can actually go through the trees here on the left. Just make sure you're dodging everything. And then reset when you get back to the road. You're good to go. Then after you make this ice cream turn, just keep turning, go across the grass, and head for the flag in the distance. Then when you round this turn here, you can actually go left here by these trees. Try to get as close to these trees, you know, relatively close to these trees. and it'll give you the checkpoint. The checkpoint is like way over here on the road. So once you go through here, boom, gives you the checkpoint. Not a big deal. Now, one of the biggest cuts in this race is right here at the end of the street. You do not have to make this hard right-hand corner. You can actually go through this right here, this little gap between these two houses, and then end up on the road on the other side. You don't have to take the S that you see in the clue. I actually did this really slow, but as soon as you get to this part of it, it gives you the checkpoint, so you're good to go. Now, when you get to the cherry blossom, you're actually just gonna reset it. So rounding this left-hander here, just kind of go straight towards the tree, reset when you get to the road. Good to go on that one. All right, there's no cut on this one. You can kind of cut the corner, but this coffee shop turn is actually really important because you can lose a lot of time. And I'll be honest, I didn't do it perfect in this run, but you can lose a ton of time, like I said. So just slow down early. The bikes do not slow down very well. Slow down early and accelerate out of the corner. It'll definitely improve your time. See, I kind of went a little bit slow there, not too bad. I had to cut the turn a little bit short as well because of the traffic car. So it is what it is. All right, so this next turn is at the Aloha billboard. I use the block wall in order to slow me down, and then I make the turn into the alleyway and go straight. It seems to be much faster than having to go around the entire thing. So we go through here, block wall. And what's important here is that you are far enough down this road. I cut it pretty short, and I think this is about as far as you can cut it, but you basically need to be far enough down this road to the left to get the checkpoint, and then once you do, you're good to go. But on this attempt, I cut it really, really short, but it still gave it to me, so we're still good. And you'll just follow this alleyway through, avoid that first block wall, you're gonna go through the next two, and you're good to go. And honestly, that's the end. Just control your speed going through here, you probably get yourself a nice time. All right, this next event is called Motorcycle Cruising. This is a race we've done a bunch of times. However, using a motorcycle, it's slightly different. So let's fast forward to the parts that are important. All right here at 7%, you're gonna cut across the dirt in front of the checkpoint. Do not get the checkpoint. If you touch the checkpoint at all, or if it gives you credit for the checkpoint, it's gonna respawn you in a backwards direction. So if you reset here and it respawns you going the opposite direction, then you're too close to the checkpoint. Just move forward up the road a little bit, cut it a little bit farther to the left, and make sure you're resetting so that you're timing your reset, I should say, so that you're in front of the checkpoint when it happens. But make sure you're not grabbing that checkpoint. Make sure you go in front of it. Just like that. Now, you're gonna do a lot of resetting on this course. I do it on almost all these turns. The reason is because it points you in the right direction on the back side of the turn, and it spawns you in at about 60 miles per hour. So it's really nice to not have to take those turns. Otherwise, you have to slow down like crazy to make that turn. It's just not even worth it. You can go full speed into the turn and then come out of it at 60 in third gear. It just makes a whole lot more sense. So a lot of these turns, including these first two, I'm resetting basically everything. Now, if we fast forward to the turns coming down the hill, I'm doing the exact same thing. So full speed into it, reset, and then just keep going. I actually thought it was gonna reset me into the wall, so I was turning. You don't even have to do that. It puts you straight on the road, just like that. It's so nice. But I know that people are, irritated about resets, but it is what it is. On this one though, I will warn you, if you go too far inside, you're gonna hit all these rocks, lose all your speed. I did hit a couple of them, but didn't lose too much speed here. But if you do go farther right, it's going to be a problem. But literally all of these hairpins, you are resetting every single one of them. So reset as soon as you get to the checkpoint flag and you're good to go. Now on this jump, it's important to use air NOS, but don't use too much because you will fly over the checkpoint. So just use it enough to get through the checkpoint, get yourself to max speed, and you're good to go. On this turn at 35%, you're going to do another reset. And you're going to do the exact same thing on the following turn. Then when you get down the hill, you're going to pass this checkpoint and aim for this little tree here. Go around to the right of it. Get yourself back on the road. Then over here at 47%, you're going to cut this grass on the right, much like we do in the grand races. I recommend not cutting it super hard because you're going to be in the grass, lose a lot of speed. Just do it enough to make that turn. Then, if you notice, these are the exact same trees as on scene 7. So you're going to cut across this grass over here the same way you do on the scene 7 race we did just a minute ago. So after the big tree, avoid everything, right, reset when you get to the flag, and you're good to go. You're gonna have a couple of corner cuts here at 63 and 64%. Just make sure you're controlling speed. You can cut outside of those flags as well. And then at the bottom of this hill at 93% or 92%, you can cut this corner, slow down a little bit, cut this one real close to the building, and that'll help you with your time as well. And you're basically home free. Let's move on. All right, the next event is called Keep Your Compass Closed. Again, a few cuts on this one. Let's go straight to them. All right, for this first checkpoint, you're gonna go across the grass on the left side of this car parking lot and reset when you get to the street. Then at the top of this hill, the SimG skip to the left and then jump back onto the road, use air NOS. You can cut this corner on the left pretty hard and then cut back right for this turn here. Now on this turn, I cut really close to the building and downshift and brake really heavy because the right-hander is pretty crazy afterwards. So it's important to stay close to the building, downshift. I even went pretty wide on that, but luckily the bike has really good acceleration and no issues there. All right, for this next clue, you notice it's like an S turn. You don't have to do the first part of the S turn. You only have to do the second part. The checkpoint is at the very tip of the arrow there. So when you're going across this hill and you see that red building in the distance, that is your cue to go off-road and start heading in a diagonal direction to the right. So basically you'll go off the road here, all the way this way, and meet up with the road here. Now I went through a block wall a couple of times, which slowed me down. There's definitely a faster way through there. However, you're definitely going to want to just cut out that whole first part of that S. That'll be the majority of where you save, the most amount of time. So, all right, now on this next clue, you can actually just reset this corner. You can cut it. It's such a difficult corner. It's very, very sharp, and bikes just don't turn well at all. So full throttle it into the corner. You're aiming for this wall here. Don't hit the wall, just go directly to the left of it and reset. I hit the wall. On the windmill turn, I find it helps to cut the corner a little bit and go into the grass. You might be able to take a better line than I did. However, this for me was the best run I got. I think it just shortens up the corner for you. It allows you to sort of maintain a little bit more speed going through there. And this last corner can be tricky, so just make sure you're controlling your speed. That's a tough corner to hit, especially when you're going full speed. Just downshift and brake. Make sure you take that cleanly. If you bounce off the walls, you're going to lose a lot of speed, a lot of time there. All right, let's move on. All right, this next event is called Explore the Open Road. Now, again, a few cuts on this one, so let's fast forward to them. All right, the first one being here at this sort of sharp left-hander with the surfboard sign on it. You can actually go up and over this hill to the left. It's a lot faster. You're going to save a ton of time. I did it poorly in this clip, but I wanted to show you that even with this poorly done shortcut here, I saved 5 seconds on this run over my previous best run, and this was the only thing I changed. So it's important to take this corner, just definitely go over this hill. Not the cleanest. I hit a lot of trees, but you can get a little bit of air NOS going over that corner. Now on this one, I take the beach cut, try to avoid the water, go around, and then get back on the road. I cut this corner here at the church. You have to slow down a ton for that one. Exiting this dirt road, you can cut a lot to the left. You don't have to finish the dirt road, and it still gives you the checkpoint. And then when you get to this sign, this billboard, right-hand turn, you can actually cut to the right of the billboard. It'll still give you the checkpoint, but you do need to get close to the billboard. You can't be super wide to the right. You got to get close to it. So on this clip, I think I actually hit it. Yeah, I dinked it just a little bit, but it will give it to you as long as you get close to the billboard. On the following turn here at the school buses, you cut this corner to the left, just control speed, you'll be fine going through there. It's not a difficult cut. And then the final right-hander, I turn just after the building. I actually went a little bit wide on this one. I slow down usually a little bit more on some of my practice runs, but there you go. Should get a decent time just using those cuts. All right, let's move on. All right, this last event is called Own the Road. Again, a few cuts in this one. Not too many on this one, actually. Just a couple of big ones. So let's fast forward to those. All right, so for this checkpoint at 36%, you might think that it's easier to just reset it, but that puts you at a dead stop when you respawn. So it's actually faster to go ahead and just brake and go through these trees. So brake all the way to the left on these trees. Just keep turning, keep turning. You're gonna go directly towards that next checkpoint. So go through this checkpoint and continue through these trees. Just keep on going until you see this yellow wall. You're going to go to the left of the yellow wall. And then this one, although it didn't seem important at the time, I've made a lot of time up by cutting to the left on this turn. If you stay to the road, you're just basically coasting. You're basically just trying to keep your bike from hitting that wall. But if you stay to the left and cut this turn, you actually can definitely reduce your time. Then directly after this checkpoint, cut to the right. And to me, that's all one big cut. So I know I said only a couple of cuts in this one. That's all one big cut there. Now on this one, you'll cut to the right of the flag. And as soon as this wall ends, you'll go between these two trees. Let's back that up a little bit. So there's a big tree here directly after the wall. That's your visual cue. Just keep in mind there's another big tree here. So you kind of have to go right in between those. Let's slow it down. We don't need to slow it down. You guys will get it. Just replay it a couple times. Through the trees, keep turning, go up the hill, use some NOS, pop a wheelie, and you're good to go. The rest of this race is really just you controlling the bike. Don't overdrive it. Use your NOS where you can. You'll be good to go. Let's move into the feats, and then we can end this thing. All right, next up we got the feats. They're pretty simple. On the first one, you're gonna go backwards. On the second one, you can go either forward or backwards. And on the third feat is the buoy smashing. It's literally as simple as just having score breaker on boats. If you don't, you just need to hit as many buoys as possible. I do recommend staying wide to the right of all of those red ones, so you don't even chance hitting a red one. The red one completely messes up your multiplier, and it really does hurt your ability to score. But on this particular run that you're watching, I actually do hit a red buoy, and I still managed to get max score on the event. You really only need about 80,000 points, and that gives you 129,000 points for the summit. It's a very easy week for feats, so just hit the buoys, avoid the red ones. Pretty simple. All right, here are my final scores for the week. Just DM me with any questions you might have. I'll see if I can get to them as fast as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this helps. We'll catch you on the next one. Trigger out.